Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to share with you a trade recap of a trade that I took this week, scalping the DAX using the 1 minute time frame, and I managed to capture a really nice 3% profit in just one trade. For this trade I was using pure price action. I was looking at reaction lag measurements and the structure of the market to help to predict the market's move and to get onto the market for a nice push up. If you're one of my regular subscribers, then you may know that I generally have been sticking to the larger time frames, and I've been working a lot with swing trading, my funded account challenge with the 5%ers. Well, alongside that, I've also been trading the DAX using this faster time frames, and I've been focusing on the early morning, the London market breakout sessions for those trades, and that's what I'm going to share with you in this video. So let's jump onto the charts. Okay guys, so I've loaded up the 1 minute time frame here, and I've actually taken the market back in time. So I've taken it just before the 8 o'clock opening candle on the 5th of October, which is where I was looking in to getting into a position on the DAX. Now, first of all, I actually went onto the daily time frame, and as you can see, we've been on this very nice uptrend for quite a long time. However, for most recent price action, we've seemed to be leveling out here, and we've actually been in this sort of range for some time now. Continuing on with my top-down analysis, I then dropped to the 4-hourly time frame just to establish what most recent price action was doing, and the closing 2 o'clock in the morning candle on the 4-hourly was actually quite a bullish green candle. So although we have been coming down in this downtrend, making lower lows and lower highs, we had quite a lot of strength coming in to the market that opening morning, so that was just leaving me to be a little bit unsure as to what I was going to do when the market opened, because we might see a push up here and another little pullback. Once I got an overview of the market from the daily and the 4-hourly, I like to drop down to the hourly time frame just to see how the 7 o'clock candle closes, because that can help determine what the movement's going to say for that 8 o'clock period. So as you can see here, we have been in this nice downtrend on the hourly time frame. We have the point in the market here, the low, but since then we've pushed up, and the 7 o'clock has actually closed as a red doji candle, so there's some indecision there. So although we've been in this downtrend, we have had quite a momentum push upwards, and we've closed on indecision. Once I established this overview of the market, I then dropped to the 1 minute time frame, but I zoomed out quite a lot, as you can see on my chart here. So the candlesticks are very small because I think it can help to show the actual flow and structure of the market a little bit more effectively. So what can I see here? Well, before the opening candle, I saw that we had this large breakdown. I saw that we had been ranging to the side here, before getting another push down, a push past the previous low here. But then after we'd had that push down, we had an even stronger push up, which actually broke this previous range. Now, this is a pattern that I've come to notice with my recent mentorship with the story of price as being what they refer to a wash and rinse, which basically means that we've had this period of consolidation, we've broken down as per the overall trend, which is down, but then we'd had this big rush up, which had actually broken this range here, and then we seem to just be consolidating a little bit to the side of this range. So it can indicate that price is looking to build some sort of structure here before then pushing and moving higher up. So that was my general feeling for the market before we opened, and then zooming in a little bit more into the candlesticks so that we can see them a little bit more clearly. I was very interested in this point here in the market because we'd dipped down actually level with where this previous consolidation was and seemed to have formed a wick rejection. So what I was quite interested in here is, because we had this overall downtrend, I felt like there would be some strength to the downside when the market opened to try to resume that trend. If we started to see some sort of rejection of this level here, maybe a drop down and then maybe a little bit of consolidation and then pushing up slightly, and that was what I felt that the market could do. And this is what I did before the market opened. I did this method of forward planning what I thought the market would do, and then if the market did react to that plan, then I was going to use that as confirmation and execute and get into the trade. So to begin with, the market opened at 8 o'clock, and as you can see, we had this strong push down, and then immediately the market started pushing up from this area that I had drawn out. We had this really nice wick rejection. Now I could have technically have gone into this short and just ridden that move down, and it would have worked nicely, but my plan is to generally wait for the first few minutes of when the market opens, because it can be very choppy, and from my past experience I tend to have more experience losing than I do winning in that first few moments. So I tend to think it's better for me to personally to sit out, wait for the dust to settle, and then come up with a plan. Now, as we had this really strong green bullish candle here at 8:03, I felt like that was a really nice confirmation, because we'd had the push down like I thought we may have, and then we had a strong push up. So what I did here was I measured how many points this moved, and as you can see, it moved 30 pips. And I simply looked at the option of a 50% retracement order. So I worked out half of that, which would be 15, which would be around about 15055. So around about this level here, which is 50% retracement of this bullish candle, I set a buy limit order, because I thought that we might get a dip down into this level and trigger me in. But it was a little bit lower down, which is better for me to manage my risk with my stop below these, the lower the structure. As you can see, price came down here. Now, I didn't actually set that buy limit in my broker. I made this plan, but I didn't set it because I was still feeling a little bit unsure, because I felt like it was obviously weak and the trend was overall down, and I had those moments of hesitation where I just didn't allow myself to set that. But as we saw this push down and then a second bullish candle pushing up, I thought, I should have gotten into that, and I should get into this long, because the price is doing what I basically thought it may do, and I need to act that plan out and not give in to the sort of feelings of fear or hesitation. So then I used the same idea. I did 50% of this candle, so let's just say it was around about 15058, and that was where I decided to place a buy limit. Now, because I had to move my order up a little bit, I was still using quite a small stop, so I used a 15 pip stop, which wasn't underneath the structure completely, so it wasn't perfect, but I felt like it was under these two swings here, that if we broke those swings, the chances were that it was going to crash down anyway, and I didn't want to hold on to that trade if it was going to go against me. So I set a buy limit here at 15058, and for this trade I used a 15 pip stop in order to make 30 pips. I felt like my stop was in a comfortable place because we were starting to swing higher on the 1 minute, and I placed my stop underneath those swings. And my target was just simply to break the high here of this little range. I didn't want to aim for too much because we were still in this overall long-term downtrend, and I didn't want to overstay my welcome. So price dipped down, it activated my buy limit, and I was triggered into this trade long. And as you can see, after a few minutes, price pushed very nicely up to my 30 pip target. Now, as we started to get some consolidation here, I did start to think about whether I can get back into this trade, because I had a nice win on the day, a nice little profit cushion, and I thought maybe I could try to make some more. So what I was interested in was finding some sort of reaction leg measurement that I could use to try to plan where price may pull back to. So what I looked at was, I took this first pullback here where price had made a low and pulled back to this level. Because price was holding this low, and I felt like this was a good place in the market, a good measurement to use, so I applied that trend line up here. From this, I felt like if price pulled back to this level, this 15061 level, that if it pulled back and then started to create some kind of support, some sort of structure, that might be a good place to get back in long if it was going to resume this new temporary uptrend. So I found this really interesting because it's not exactly perfect, but you can see that price does pull back to this level, and then it starts to make this big bullish green candle. But there wasn't enough for me to get back in because it was still quite choppy and uncertain, so I wanted to have a confirmation. I wanted it to move away and then maybe come back and hold this level. If it did that, then I was going to get back in. And as you can see, we had this really big bearish candle down. It did stop at this level, but then it continued down and broke it. And that essentially broke my idea for that plan. I felt like that proved that price was pushing down now and it was looking weak. So I removed those lines and I just continued to watch price to see what it was going to do. I watched price for some time as it broke these lows and started to pull back here. And again, I thought of that previous measurement that price respected before, and I applied it to this new low that we had made after breaking this bottom structure. And I felt like if price pulled back to this level, which sort of coincided with this little structure we had here, and if it started to build some sort of support, that'd be a good place to get in short. So I was just reading the market in this way to see if there were any more trading opportunities I could capitalize on. Now this was a really nice candle. This is a very big bearish wick rejection candlestick, and that would have been a nice place, but I didn't have any orders sitting there because I was waiting for a confirmation retest. And to get in down here would just be too low down because your stop would have to be up here. So I decided to sit that out. And price started to push a bit lower. Now, although it did come back up, it didn't come this full length. So again, I didn't get into any trade here. At this point, I adjusted this trend line to just note that we were consolidating here. And I was waiting for a break of this trend line. And we did get that here. As you can see, we got a nice big bearish candle down. So I'm going to make that red just to highlight the fact that this was marking the trend line here that got broken. Now, once we did get the break, I thought that it would be nice to get a retest of this trend line, and that would be a good entry short. But I also wanted to use some sort of reaction-like measurement alongside that, as per the techniques I've been learning with my mentorship with the story of price. I'll put a link below if you're interested in learning more about them. So to do that, I took this more recent reaction like here. So I measured this length and just make this a blue color. And I applied this to the lows of this new push down. And you can see that the actual measurement of this does coincide with where this trend line is. So I felt like if price was to push back up here, and then if it was going to consolidate and maybe start to swing lower, that would be a good place to get in short to try to ride the move down. Price started to push up towards this trend line, and here we did get a really nice rejection of this area. But didn't quite come high enough up for me, and I wanted to just have a double confirmation before I was going to get into this trade. I was a bit unsure here because we were starting to get quite green and strong and bullish. And then as you can see, we broke this trend line. Once we broke this trend line and had a lot of momentum coming in for the long side, breaking back above this range and above this previous pullback here, I decided that that was pretty much that for me for scalping that day. I was happy to walk away with my 3% profit, and I generally only look to scalp the first hour or two because I find with scalping, because it's such a fast pace when it comes to trading, emotions can be heightened, and for me personally, it's better to not overstay your welcome. So I hope that you've enjoyed this recap video on my winning trade for the DAX. If you have, be sure to hit the like button below, and don't forget to subscribe if you're not already part of the channel, and I'll catch you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.